Hi, it's me. I've got a lot to cover, and the plan is I cover everything that people wanted to ask me questions about, and then I go to the beach because I've just painted my roof not so long ago. I'm tired, and I'm ready to get away from the crazy stuff. So we'll see how this all goes. So for those people who thought I was going to go into a whole lot of detail and everything like you've seen everywhere else, no, I'm just going to give you my opinion. That's really all I care about right now is I just give you my opinion. And if you have things that you want to ask me about, then now is the time to ask me. Okay, ask the questions now because I would prefer to just answer them here rather than answer those questions somewhere else at a later date for whatever reason. Okay, I will keep an eye on chat while I'm doing this. I do have a lot of notes here and I'll try to be fairly quick, but this isn't going to be done in the way that you'd normally have me do anything. Okay, that's not today. Okay, so today is me being very open about how I feel about everything, whatever that is. Okay. Hi, welcome to How to RPG. That's right. My name is it's not How to D&D anymore. It's now How to RPG, and I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff. In fact, I will let you know exactly what I'm going to talk about right up front so you know, and if there's anything that you need to add into the conversation, then you'll let me know what those things are and I'll do my best. So I'm going to talk about the open game license or the OGL, the OGL changes that are being put forward for whatever. I'll go into that. I'm going to talk about Wizards of the Coast. I'll talk about Hasbro. I'll certainly talk about third-party publishers and 3D virtual tabletops, and a lot of this is being pushed by that. I'll talk about AIDMs. I'll talk about the role-playing community and the Dungeons and Dragons community. I will talk about D&D Beyond. I will talk about One D&D, and I will talk about how this has affected me and my friends and how I will move forward from this. And I think the first question that a lot of you have is, will I be talking about Dungeons and Dragons or Dungeons and Donuts in the future? And the answer would be no, kind of, but maybe yes in a roundabout way. Because, I mean, Dungeons and Dragons is just fantasy role-playing, really. That's all it is. So, so if you thought that I was going to be like, it has to be a particular way, let's get real. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I really do. But I see things, what is going on is actually affecting me too much. And it's actually counterproductive to my goal on YouTube. So for me, I'm not really going to do things the way you may expect, but it might not necessarily be a bad thing. How have I been, Epic Donut 1109? Hope you've been okay and surviving the storm. Okay, so let's start talking and breaking down, because that was actually the very first thing on my list that I was going to talk about. So Epic Donut, I will answer that question. How have I been? So the last month has been extremely difficult with the leaks, the news, the RPG community dramas. It's really sucked the big one. I have hated what's been going on. It's made me sick, frankly. I have found myself, I've been stressed out. I've been crazy angry. Like, you wouldn't think I'm angry because I'm so quiet and calm, but I'm super, super angry. And I've watched my friends, those that are in New Zealand, AJ Pickett, and others overseas, such as Wally DM and various individuals, going through, and there's a lot more, because I have quite a big network of people that I interact with because of the now called Game Master Roundtable rather than the Dungeon Master Roundtable. So I have a lot of people that I interact with, and they've also been going through quite a lot of stuff. Okay, so it's really affected everything that you can imagine. You would be surprised how much it's like. It's not just how much people have been suffering, and I've watched them, and I've been going through it. It's not just that. It's feeling betrayed. It's feeling angry and feeling actually depressed. Like this is how one of those things that just comes. It's like you start feeling depressed about the whole situation. Like, do I even continue or do I walk away? How do I move forward and it's actually really hard to move forward sometimes. I've had COVID. I had COVID-19. I was sick with it, very sick over Christmas and New Year's. Couldn't see my family. Finally got to see my family after I finally got rid of that. And that was crappy. That was really, really crappy. I hated that. I mean, who would like that? That doesn't make any sense, right? So I then went back to work, worked for a week, and then went on holiday. And then all of this sort of just exploded out and went all over the place. And so my holiday time has been completely disrupted. It's been absolutely awful to deal with. And one of the biggest problems I've found is, first off, I want to apologise to Taryn from Indostructo Boy, because when he first put forward the leak, and he's the one who first dropped it, not anybody else, everybody's claiming ownership for actually letting everybody know that there was going to be a 1.1 OGL, and so he's the one who did that, and I gave him some flack, not like once. I wasn't impressed. I gave Ted from Nerd Immersion, I wasn't happy with what he was doing either, and I made my thoughts known, but I don't know if he necessarily paid attention. I don't think even Taryn noticed. He had a lot of other people just yelling at him. So big apology to those people for the fact that they really needed to be listened to. So let's just have a quick idea. I'm going to respond to the chat. We've got Orion. Hello, Orion. How are you? You were looking to expand your gaming coverage. Yes, we're going to get to that. I'm going to talk about expanding. So now we have a reason. Well, I was always trying to do it, Orion. It was just difficult to do with everybody only ever watching stuff on that's labeled Dungeons and Dragons or D&D or Dungeons and Donuts. Okay, so that's part of the problem. It's very hard to shift when your channel is actually named after the game you're promoting, to suddenly widen. It's almost impossible to do effectively. Jiu-jitsu, hello. I'm to the point where I don't want to play anything. It's all just getting old and going through this OGL stuff. I totally understand. So I'm not going to go and read out sections of the OGL. I'm just going to tell you my opinion, and then I'm going to break down some of the things that are going on for me. And I think this is probably, I don't think this is for everybody, because I don't think I would say there's a large portion of the community on YouTube and the internet who don't understand why I am upset, or some of my colleagues in the content creation or material creation or the D&D community or RPG community are upset. I don't think they understand why we are so upset. Do you know what I mean? So to make it clear, how I operate on YouTube. When I first started out, I was using what was called the fan content policy. Okay, there are some restrictions. There's certain things you can do, certain things that you can't do. And then I was also using what is called fair use, which is something that we often have to lean on if you're on YouTube, just because it's very difficult to get art and resources. And if you're not making any money, you can't pay anybody, right? But you can't do that forever. You can't just be a hobby channel forever, because it's really expensive to run a YouTube channel, because everybody expects high quality video and high quality sound and high quality editing and high quality this, and it takes forever. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of money. I've never made money off my YouTube channel. Never. It's never made money. It's always cost me money. Thank God I've got a job. Okay. So, and it's paying for all of that. So it's there is no profit, okay? It's all gone. Yeah, Pale Rider, you did miss quite a lot of drama. Epic Donut, I can certainly relate to your reaction. I felt that betrayed closely as well. The energy I had to work on D&D stuff and play D&D soured quickly. Yeah, and when you base an entire channel on D&D, and you really want like everybody in the world to play it. I don't want everybody to play D&D this way, the way that's going down. Okay, I don't want that. I want it much more open. In fact, I got to take my hat off, okay, people, because it's too hot in here, and I've already been cooking myself on the roof. So Ryan, now people are looking at other games. Yeah, and that's fine, but I'll talk about that. My group have planned to play 5 other systems over the next 6 months. I'm really excited about it. Okay. Yeah. So let's move on to, I guess, the next thing. So one of the problems when you start a channel is you can't operate under the fear. Pardon me. You can't operate under fair use and the fan content policy for Dungeons and Dragons indefinitely. You have to rely and lean on the open game license, the OGL, because it's the only way to actually make things work, particularly on Patreon, but also if you're trying to publish your own stuff, you kind of have to lean on that. And it's been there for a long time. And so that really completely wrecks everything. It even affects me. I know a lot of people think it will not affect me, but no, it would. It would affect me. So let's go in depth on why I have problems with the OGL as presented. Now, whether it's the leaked version or is the draft, and that leaked version was a draft or a final copy, it doesn't matter, okay? Because it affects all role-playing games, not just Dungeons and Dragons. It affects every single role-play game out there, even the ones that don't use the OGL. It certainly affects them less, but it does undermine the entire industry. Do you know what I mean? Which has actually been allowed to grow under the OGL. And I think a lot of people have assumed that it's because of Critical Role and it's because of Stranger Things. There's a lot of things coming into play, but the OGL is ultimately, in the end, what is driving probably most of what's going on here. Does that make sense? So I understand if you don't care about what's going on for me and the other, and you just want Dungeons and Dragons content. But I hate to say it, you just don't get it unless we can actually make sure we can pay for it in some way. And if we can't do that, then you don't get it. It's as simple as that. Okay, so let me just answer to Gabby's statement. Thousands of people's livelihood depend on Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast not getting their way. Yeah, I know it's stressful, but we have to prevent, without exaggeration, a great evil from happening. And it is. It is funny that they've called the new Dungeons and Dragons One D&D. Going back to Lord of the Rings, but we'll get to there. Epic Donut. The D&D community featuring your channel and many others were so wonderful and welcoming. Well, that's the point. Is you got to welcome people and you got to make people feel like they can get into the game without any kind of barriers. And the barriers are quite significant, right? The community produced so much of D&D. It's a strange, exactly. So now let's talk about the OGL. I am not going to read through every change. I'm just going to give you, so if you don't know what the changes were, I'm just going to go through my opinion of each section and why I have an issue with it. And surprisingly, the one that you think is the biggest issue is probably not the biggest issue. So first off, I don't care whether it's a draft. I don't care whether it's a final copy. I don't care if they release a different one that's slightly different to the one that they originally got leaked. I don't care if they've put out another one recently, like there's just a release right today. I don't care about any of that stuff. Now, the royalties that were set up in the first one was actually specifically set out to eliminate competition, put businesses out of commission. Because 20-25% on gross revenue that's all their profit. Like they're gone. There's nothing. That would have cost them so much money to put all that together. They got no profit left after that. That would be their profit margin more than likely. And your profit margin is not that high in the tabletop role-playing game. Some people won't even be making 20% on what they put out. So that's one of my big issues. But it doesn't affect me, but it affects other people. And I don't want to see them go out of business because I want to be able to buy their products because, frankly, some of their products are better than what Wizards of the Coast make. Okay, next. Losing control over your own work for Dungeons and Dragons or 5e or 3.5 is stealing. As far as I'm concerned, that is just outright stealing. Now, to a certain point, if you are making something and it was designed to be free and you just wanted to get it out there, that's a different thing. But when a corporation suddenly has the rights to publish it and print it, and then basically because you haven't claimed a copyright to it, because you made fan content, and then stamp their brand all over it and say it is ours and make money off it, which I know may or may not have happened, or may not have happened to people who were trying to sell their product. That was a big issue for me. That was a big problem. Okay, I don't like the fact that they even considered that. I don't know how somebody was going to talk about that. What do you got here, Pale Rider? I feel bad for all the creators this is affecting. I am excited for what those creators do next. I can assure you that every single creator that manages to get out of this alive is going to have a pretty significant plan. I wouldn't worry too much at this present time. We just don't know what the future holds, but a lot of people have got plans already in place, and I can assure you that we are rallying. You just can't see it. You might see some of it on social media, but there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And I'm talking more of the mid to small size channels rather than the big channels. The big channels, they can probably suck this up. You know, it's when they got Kickstarters that could fail, that'd be a problem. Okay, so the OGL changes. So OGL, I've got to get rid of the glasses. I can't do this otherwise. OGL 1.0a already protects the D&D brand. There's actually a clause in there. So when they say that they're trying to protect the D&D brand, I don't believe that, because there's already a clause in there to do that. It's designed so whoever owns the Dungeons and Dragons brand has already got protection from somebody making content with the OGL or the SRD that might affect them or might wind up with them going into court. But also too, I'm pretty sure it even has a statement around that they're not liable for any kind of thing that you make. So that's a red herring. So forget that as far as I'm concerned. Next, data collection on people making $50,000 per year gross is way too much corporate power. It's basically corporate control. Can you imagine what it would be like if you could have all the data in the entire market fed to your company? And that's pretty much what would wind up happening. Like almost everything would wind up going to them, even if you didn't make any profit, even if they didn't require any royalties from you. I have a problem with that. I really do. The next thing is the registration. So registration and sending your D&D content to D&D Beyond, it isn't practical. Okay, it's not practical for me. I can assure you it's not practical for other people. It would give Wizards of the Coast an advantage over everybody else in the market. And that I have a huge problem with. I don't want them to be able to corner the market completely, okay, because all that will result in is a monopoly and them putting everybody else out of business. That's what would happen. So ultimate control and ultimate power. We already live in a world where they collect all our data as it is. You know, every time we walk somewhere, they set you've got satellites looking down. You've got everything you do on the internet is being tracked. Every time you carry your phone, it's being tracked. This is just another one of those things that annoys me. I just don't like it. I could not actually run the channel if I had to do something like that. And that would just be registration, even if you didn't make $50,000 a year. So even if they kept that. This is why the original OGL doesn't have any of that there. Okay, and then Gabby. Now, if I sound too angry, please let me know and I will tone things down. I'm trying not to be as angry as I can, okay? From what I've heard, what they want to do first and foremost is get rid of the competition. That's very much so, and particularly since they've spent a lot of money on their VTT. But I'll get to that. Everything else they don't care for. Okay, Fred. Here for support you, friend. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for the support. So let me keep working away. I want to get through the OGL stuff fairly quickly because I had so much of it. Okay, anyway. Okay, so the fact that there was somebody stupid enough that people actually had a conversation and talked about and wrote down a new OGL 1.1. The fact that they even talked about it and then decided to write something down to actually eliminate it, deauthorize it, revoke it, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. I don't care. A lot of people don't care, okay, that I know. They don't care. It means that they want to make that change. They really want to get rid of it. They see it as a barrier, an obstacle, and a problem to them. So even if if this all plays out, even if they never revoke or unauthorize the OGL 1.0A, even if that never happens, they want to do it. That they want to do it. That there, for me, is just alarm bells. The fact is, I don't want to see that go. Do you know why? The OGL affects 3.5 and affects 5E, and it actually bleeds right back into old school or the OSR. Like it bleeds back into potentially into all of that sort of stuff. Potentially. We don't know for sure because it hasn't been fought in court. Okay. I don't trust Wizards of the Coast. I don't trust these people with a D&D brand. I don't trust them with the tabletop Dungeons and Dragons game. And I have not been trusting them for quite some time. I just haven't said it that much. Hasbro. Nothing they do now, nothing they change, nothing they decide to fall back off will change how I feel about this. So whatever I do, it is not going to change. It doesn't matter what Wizards of the Coast does, or Hasbro, or the D&D brand does at this point. It does not matter for me, okay? Now, for those of you who are like, well, what does that mean? I'll let me just get out my last little statement, and then I'll answer the chat, okay? I don't care about Wizards of the Coast making announcements. I don't care how sorry they are. I don't care about their surveys on the OGL or even One D&D. I don't care if they leave it alone. I've said this because I will not promote their D&D brand anymore. I won't do that. I'm not interested in the new release for the OGL 1.2 draft that they're putting forward to the community. I don't care about any of that. Why? Because fantasy role-playing games is not the Dungeons and Dragons brand. Ultimately, I can still play my game and it will never affect my game. Because we don't even have to call it Dungeons and Dragons. We can call it whatever we like. I mean, my table, I've talked to my home group and we've made the decision we're not going to play One D&D. We're probably going to play our homebrew variation of D&D 5e. And we've been putting in more and more changes into our own game, which I'll probably share with you in the future. And whether we call it, I don't know, RPG 5e, or it's still playing D&D 5e, or we're just playing our game, whatever it is, it's just a fantasy game that you role play. Okay, so for me, it changes nothing, absolutely nothing. I don't care what they do. They could bend down, they could pay us all money and say sorry. I don't care anymore. Now let me respond to a few things, because then I want to talk about how I'm about Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, because there are a few things I need to say about that too, and I will. So I'll get it all off my chest. I might have to open the door to my room as soon as that washing machine stops, but it's very hot in here. Okay, here we go. So what did I have that I missed? Yeah, okay. So this is, where am I up to? Pale Rider. So I'm letting it out. People wanted to know if I would let it out. I am. So I'm angry. I'm trying to be calm. It's all good. Everyone needs a vent once in a while. So, and people want to keep talking about this in my live streams. And honestly, I don't want to talk about this after I do this live stream. I'm directing you to this video and live stream if you want to know about how I feel. Okay, it's all going into this one, rather than everything else that I do in the future. Because in a couple of days, it's back to what I normally do, okay? 6 live streams a day, 6 live streams a week, and I just don't want it all getting poisoned by this. Okay. DS Mechana, hi Chris. I stopped my stream the moment I saw you go online. I told everyone to shift over here. Well, thank you. Chris, I'll be shifting them back to you. So just make sure you've got a live stream ready to go when I'm finished, because Chris is a designer. He has published under 3.5. He's published under 4E. He's published under 5E. He's even written his own game system. And so, yeah, he may not be the biggest channel, but he does know what he's talking about. Anyway, and there are very few people who ever designed and published under 4E, and Chris is one who has. Piper Knight, how's it going? Hello, Knight. How are you doing? I noticed there was a pretty dicey morality clause in 1.2. Yeah, the termination stuff is a bit of a problem. My question is, who is deciding what qualifies as creator based on creators' actions? It'll be Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. It'll be their lawyers. It'll be somebody like that. That's who's going to be doing that. But again, it doesn't matter. I don't care what they do. I mean, their termination clause stuff was bad. As I said, I don't care what they put in it now. Epic Donut. You have every right to be angry and upset. There's a lot of shady stuff going on. Yes, there is. And this move of theirs has, it's shifted everything. And I'm not going to tell you what you think, because it would be a waste of my time. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. Third-party creators put out some superior content. Wizards of the Coast, yeah, they do. They really are just pissing it away. You're right. They are, absolutely. They should be making better stuff. You cannot sit on your laurels. Okay, Knight, I have stepped away from 5e and I already plan to play Pathfinder. I'll talk about Pathfinder 2nd Edition in a little bit, okay? Number of other third-party books. Yes, I understand where you're going. Okay, so I did some shopping. It didn't get me quite the way it didn't go with the way I wanted. Runehammer, yes, DCC. There are a lot of people making RPGs right now, okay? Hello, David Rose. How are you doing? If I forget that you are a patron and do not call that out, I apologize. My mind is probably not with it that well. Hi, John Cartwright. How's it going? They have kept a hornet's nest for no good reason other than money. Well, I think they think that's a good enough reason to do so, okay? They used people until they thought they didn't need them anymore. Yes, because, yes, we've built an entire, like a monopoly and a huge empire on the OGL, and now we want to get rid of it so that we can corner the market completely. Like, it's not like we don't have enough of the market. We want to make sure that nobody else can dip their toes and do it better than we're doing it, because it seems to happen every single time we make something. That's where this is going, right? And now just like Assassins. Yeah, okay. Hi, Ryan. How are you? I play an extremely homebrew version of D&D with my kids. We have our own version of character sheets. So, Ryan, we're going to come back to your point. Because what you are doing is where I am heading, and have been heading for some time, and been trying to head in that direction for ages. And I'm going to try to convince people that maybe you want to try and do that yourself. So DS Machina. So Chris, yes, I did 3.5 Pathfinder 4E, 5E, Fate. Yeah, I've played Fate, for those of you who don't know. Okay, so you're probably going to see Fate on the channel. Nobody's going to be that interested, I suspect, but oh well. 13 Age and Savage Worlds. And yes, I've also played Star Wars Saga 8th Edition, which of course was made by Wizards of the Coast, but they don't actually make any money off it anymore. How's it going, Big Kid? Big Kid is a patron as well. Hello, buddy. How's it going? I've supported things I like. Yeah, third-party mainstream doesn't matter to me. Yeah, exactly. I get it. Okay, so let's get on to the next bit. Otherwise, it's going to take too long. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to step away from a second and open my door, because I can tell that the washing machine is finished, and I can't breathe in here. Okay, you are probably going to hear birds and cars and people and kids and various other things at this point, but I need to be able to sort of do this. And after I've finished doing this, I'm going to the beach. Okay, I'm going to read a book, and I'll continue doing my Dungeon 23 stuff, and whatever else I feel like doing, because that's how I am. Okay. Right. So Wizards of the Coast. What did I have to say about Wizards of the Coast? Wizards of the Coast. I really hate this new, is it a VIP or CEO, Cynthia Williams. It's funny, like, why do I hate a person I've never met? It's really weird. And how is it that Cynthia Williams has got a surname that's so similar to Lorraine Williams, who ultimately brought TSR to their knees? Like, it's weird. It's like something has, it's like history is repeating itself. Do you know what I mean? I feel like maybe it's repeating itself. Is it my imagination? Am I actually lost my mind? And now all it's going through me is like, conspiracy theories. Like right now, I feel like I've had so many conspiracy theories running through my mind that I was losing it. So I don't like this person a lot, and I don't like Chris Cox, the Hasbro CEO. I really don't like this guy. I despise what the management have been doing and their direction, and I have been for a while. And whether you realize it or not, I have been trying to push myself in a different direction. Man, the official Dungeons and Dragons products and books, they're awful. They're really bad. They're really poor content. You know, considering how much money they can throw into these projects, like everybody else out there, and they're getting worse. How the heck can they get worse? You know why? Because they figure everybody will go and buy their stuff. And much to my surprise, when I went to a game shop where I would normally buy role-playing games and other things, the only thing they had was the new Alien RPG book, one copy, and everything else was Dungeons and Dragons. Nothing else in the store. Couldn't buy a thing. Nothing. Yeah, that's a problem. I mean, I'm in New Zealand, not North America, but in my country, you can't buy, I can't get it online. I can't get these things online. I've tried. There's just nothing, because nobody wants to sell it in my country. Do you know why? Because Dungeons and Dragons rules. That's why. So they control the role-playing game market, and it's a bad thing. It's actually a bad thing. It's good if you're publishing, because you only have to publish under one system. But it also it's creating a whole lot of other problems. Like I can't buy anything else other than D&D right now. I can't buy Pathfinder 2nd edition. It's just not around. There's just no copies anywhere. I can't buy it online. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But that's not just that game. There's like many games that I would like to pick up. I can't buy those. So that's Wizards of the Coast. So I don't really want to have anything to do with the Wizards of the Coast anymore. Ultimately, this is going to hurt me and my channel a lot. Okay. So where are we? What do you got here, Chris? DEM will still support 5e in the future based solely on the market share. So I know Chris will just keep making this. They're trying to make sure that you can't, but I know that Chris will just make it an unauthorized version or book. He'll just say unauthorized on it or something like that. Last check still had Pathfinder 2 at less than 5% of the market share. So this is one of the problems. But it's not ultimately, I mean, in my heart, I mean, it's not like I'm publishing books, right? But I want to in the future. I want to do that. And a lot of my friends in this community are wanting to do that too. But this makes it much more difficult. And, you know, D&D is like 56% of the market share, which is huge. Okay. The moment someone gets close, that's part of it. Okay, so higher. What do you got here? Orion, president. That's Cynthia. Okay, history rhymes. Yeah, like his history repeats itself. Yeah, so I don't like the idea of Wizards of the Coast being a villain, but I do feel like it now. I really do. Anyway, all right, so. No, Gabriel, there were parts of Fizban's which was good, but frankly, in my opinion, I think there were sections that were very poor. And yeah, but then I've done a review. Do you know I've got a whole lot of backlog videos that I was going to release on Wizards of the Coast books for Dungeons and Dragons that had me flipping through and talking over the top of that. The stuff I did, I made that. I edited it. It's in 4K. I fixed up the sound, and now I don't know what to do with it. I honestly don't know what to do with it. It's just sitting there, and I'm like, how do I put this out? You know what I mean? Your nearest LGS, I don't want an LGS, is about 90%. Okay, 5e is about 3 path or restless 3 1. Okay, mutants and copy. So yeah, so you don't have an awful lot there either by the sounds of it. It seems pretty limited as well by the sounds of it. Night. You're in Kentucky. Okay, all right. Their products are their products are fulfilling a purpose. Yeah, it's not a purpose that I find helpful, unfortunately. Homogeneous law. Yeah, I mean that tends to happen, but then again, ultimately, anyway, I'm going to get sidetracked, and I need to get this stuff out of me, right? Maybe Nick, maybe we'll see. I don't know. I mean, it ultimately comes down to what they wind up doing with all of this, because, as I said, I operate under the fan content policy and the fair use and the OGL. And I need those things to be able to make it all work. Anyway, let's move on. Hasbro. Frankly, right now, I know Hasbro's in a lot of trouble, and I would be quite happy to see them bankrupt. I would like to actually see them go down. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that I should feel this way. How is it that I feel like I want to see a company go out of business because of their greed and the idiotic things that they have been doing? Like, absolutely the stupidest things you can imagine they've managed to pull off. And why am I invested now in feeling this way? It's all positive and negative yuck. And yeah, you know, there's a good chance, give it a little bit of time, and I think Hasbro might wind up going under, and Wizards of the Coast will be broken off from Hasbro and sold off as a different entity. But who knows? Who knows in the world? So what have you got here? What have I said? What have you said, people? I'm going to go to the beach and enjoy my time at the beach. I will, but yeah, I'm taking the hat off tonight. Today, Michael, the hat is gone. It's too hot, and I guess I'm making my point. Bearing it all. Warts and all. Okay, so let's get on to the next thing. So the role-playing game, or the Dungeons and Dragons community reaction. I need to speak a little bit about that. So I'm really, it's nice to see the community actually banding together, because I've had to actually interact with a lot of these people because of because of the Dungeon Master Roundtable stuff. And it's very hard. It is like herding sheep to get these people in one place to talk about anything in a Zoom chat or in a live stream. It's like herding sheep. Sometimes it's really great. Sometimes it sucks. And sometimes there's people I never want to have to deal with again. But it's nice to see that they are banding together. Again, I will say I'm glad that Taryn from Indostructor Boy dropped the news, the leak. I think that ultimately, although I didn't see the value in it initially, that was good. And I'm glad that Gizmo released their article. But that was enough. But it just doesn't stop. We keep getting more and more of it. Now, it certainly feeds the YouTube animal, the monster, the machine. And one of the things that I have not liked seeing happen is that entire channels just keep making another video on the OGL every single day, sometimes twice a day. Live streams, edited videos, they just keep going over and over again. People profiting off spamming videos and tabloid style videos is, I think, disgusting. I don't care if it's making you lots of money. I don't care if you're getting lots of views. I never want to have anything to do with you. Unfortunately, tabloid style sensational news is now the way of the future on YouTube for the roleplay game community and Dungeons and Dragons. It is feeding that animal, and all it takes is somebody who's big enough and all the small channels follow as they try to find some way of getting traction so somebody will watch them, because there's so much competition, you know. It's like 500 channels out there, probably more, could be thousands for all I know. You know, they're all trying to make something on this, and some of the ones that I've seen have just been just so crazy. Like it's like watching a some sort of weird movie where they're all gone quite insane. I don't think that the general players of role-play games and Dungeons and Dragons, or even Dungeon Masters, truly understand that this will change the Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing community and the tabletop world forever. It will ultimately change everything. Do you know how hard it was for Ryan Dancy and the people involved in creating the original OGL to actually get people on board in the first place? And that has all been destroyed because somebody has finally managed to go from Wizard of the Coast, a company, a property that probably was not going to do well and might have put them out of business, from a very successful brand and a very successful game. Okay, now that they got the success, they want it all. But I will say right now, I am not impressed by a lot of the community with some of the things that they are doing, because it is just too exploitive, and frankly, it's not healthy for me. It can't be healthy for you guys. I'll tell you that now. This is why I'm doing this once. I'm not talking about it again. All right, Sticks says, where am I? Okay. I didn't do anything to Ted, but I did comment in one of his live streams that, Ted, you were part of the creating fear about the OGL leak. That's all I said in one of his streams. I said the same thing with Taryn. I don't think that Ted or Taryn even noticed me, but I did do it, and so I'm saying sorry for that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so what is this? Nodak, Supple Nodak. I think it's Supple Nodak. If I got your name wrong, I'm sorry. How's it going, Dungeons and Chronics? Herding sheep is not that easy. Trust me. Okay, herding sheep is not easy. These sheep are not herdable sometimes. Hello, son. How are you doing? Exactly. I have been talking about this at length. A lot of the reactionary videos, I agree completely. There's too much of it. Yeah, exactly, Chris. And we aren't going to stop seeing this stuff. It's now the way of the future, unfortunately. You disagree. So, Gabby, you can disagree. It's fine for you to disagree, but I don't agree with you. And we can disagree and still be in the same room, and life can continue. Okay? The problem is 75% of the time people make videos about Wizards of the Coast content, and now they don't want to. That's right, Mike. That's exactly it. A lot of us are struggling. Some people can't stop because it's how they make their money. There's no other way they can do this. Okay? And so they won't stop making that sort of content. D&D dumb. I've tried to make some videos pushing back on the stuff. Yeah, but I mean, it's a tidal wave now. You can't stop it. Okay? They're trying to fight off the nonsense. I don't know. I don't know about all of this. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. So the reaction by the community. Some of it good, some of it's bad. And I can't. It's actually not healthy for me to be part of this. I don't want to do that. I tried doing that when I was very small, and I regretted doing it every single time. I tried to sort of do clickbaity stuff. One of my most popular videos. I hate that video. I hate it, and yet it does really well. It's ridiculous. Okay, so third-party publishers. Let's talk about that. The answer is not going to just go and buy third-party non-Wizards of the Coast books or products, because you know why? Because that's expensive. It's expensive for me. It's expensive for most creators. It's going to be expensive for you. I'm happy if you've got the money and you want to do that, go for it. If there are creators out there that are doing that, that's great. And if they want to talk about third-party publishers, fine. But I looked at it and I'm like, I can't. Do you know? I don't even make money when I buy a Wizards of the Coast book. They don't send me anything. I'm in New Zealand. They don't care about sending stuff to me. The problem is I wouldn't give them necessarily a great review, so why would you send it to me in the first place? So I have this I have to say about third party. I use quite a lot of third party. I have quite a bit of it, but I have more Wizards of the Coast stuff because that's what everybody seems to want to see. But the problem is I can't go out and buy this because it will never make back what I paid for it. And it's not necessarily going to be something that I will use. So that's not necessary. And I can't go and learn a whole lot of different game systems. So this is where my head is at. I would much prefer to focus more on free fan-made D&D or RPG material or content. It's much more appealing to me. It means that you don't have to go and buy anything. You just can get it for free. And there's a lot of it out there. You'd be amazed how much is out there. There's so much of it. I don't know if it will survive. It may well wind up being destroyed in some way if the fan content policy could change, people. If the OGL can change, the fan content policy can change as well. So I'm much more interested in actually free fan-made stuff that's been made for the open school, the OSR, for any version of Dungeons and Dragons, 5e, whatever, Pathfinder, other RPGs. I'm much more interested in that, frankly, at this point. Now, I just don't have time to go and learn a whole lot of new systems. I know how to play Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. I've played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, but I don't remember how to play it. I even though I talk a lot about that stuff, I know how to play 4e, I know how to play 5e, I've played Pathfinder, I know how to play Fate, Bulldogs, it's just a version of Fate. I know how to play Star Wars Saga, Ed Edition. But it's not like it's not like Wizards of the Coast or anybody's really making money off Star Wars Saga. It's an old game. So is Bulldogs and Fate. I mean, and they're not hugely popular, but that's what I know. So it would take me time. And it's actually quite expensive to go and buy a whole lot of stuff and sink your time into all of this. So I don't think that third party ultimately shifting over to Pathfinder 2nd edition is going to solve any of my problems. That doesn't mean that I won't do Pathfinder 2nd edition in the future. But like I said, I can't even buy that stuff right now. I can't even get my hands on it. Yes, I know there's a free online SRD. I'm 51. I like books. It's just me. It's much easier for me to operate from a book than it is from something online. Okay? My eyes are getting old. The more I look at a screen, I do it enough as it is, the weaker they get. So just to make it clear, I'm not necessarily just going to start reviewing third-party stuff. I've certainly been reading some third-party stuff on my holiday, but I can't guarantee that I'll just do that. I'm very rarely you're likely to see anything from Wizards of the Coast right now. That's just where my head is at. Okay, I want to talk about One D&D, and I don't know how. I mean, if you like One D&D, you're going to probably unfortunately get the honest truth from me right now. We'll see how that goes. What about donate third-party books? What about donated third-party books? So, Jeremy, if people want to donate third-party books to me, that's great. But I don't think you understand the reality of where I live. I live in New Zealand. Shipping a book from anywhere outside of New Zealand to New Zealand is really expensive. It will probably cost you, I hate to say it, because many people said they would send me books in the past. They've discovered that it's really expensive. It's probably 3 or 4 times the cost of the book that you actually had in the first place. So imagine you have a $60 book, and it's actually going to cost you, $240 in shipping. I mean, you could very well find that it's that expensive. I can't even buy stuff from the book depository. It doesn't work. It doesn't save me money anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I like books. As I said, it's just one of the things. Okay, One D&D. Let's have a talk about this thing. So they're going to keep doing their One D&D playtest thing or marketing test or whatever the heck it is. Some of it looks like playtest, some of it looks like marketing. But I could see at the very beginning of the One D&D stuff, I thought, okay, this is promising, but there were some things in here that were concerning, and I knew that they were going to do them. And I honestly, I honestly was cringing. I don't enjoy or even care about the direction of the new Ed edition. I don't care about One D&D. I don't want to talk about it. The more and more and more that I see everybody was searching on my channel and on the internet for One D&D stuff, I really don't care about it at all. Because frankly, I think somebody else can do it better than what's going on right now. So I don't want to talk about One D&D. I don't want to play One D&D. I don't want to play test One D&D. I just don't want to have anything to do with it. And the honest truth is, I think that it would be very easy for just you guys to do a better job, frankly. Do you know what I mean? I honestly think that a lot of the people homebrewing their own stuff will probably do a better job than what's going on right now. I don't know what they're thinking, but I can't get behind it. I just don't have the motivation, and I just don't have any passion for it whatsoever. The only reason I was doing it is I wanted to be part of and get people involved in shaping the new game. But I started to realize that actually this is not a game that's being made for me, and this is a game that's not being made for potentially new people coming into the hobby. It's being made for a very select portion of our community, and that's it. A very tight, narrow portion of our community. And I was like, no. Okay, D&D Beyond. I think D&D Beyond is far too expensive. Like when I think about One D&D and D&D Beyond, I think it is hugely. I mean, it's not even like it's owned by a different company, and the prices didn't go down. They were paying a licensing fee to Wizards of the Coast, the people who originally had D&D Beyond, and now it's owned by Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro. There's no licensing fee. It's their own product, and their prices look like junk. I look, if you like using D&D Beyond, that's cool. I thought it was a good tool, but I think when you have to pay for this stuff, I think you get charged way too much, far too much, frankly. And so you will not see me supporting D&D Beyond. You won't see me doing anything with, frankly, you won't see me doing anything with One D&D. I just won't. I won't do it. I'm not ready for that. I'm not doing that. It's not happening. Okay, so. Let's have a look at the chat. We're almost at the end of my ranty chat, my ranty stuff. So for those of you who are thinking, Fred is never going to stop, don't worry. I will stop, okay? It's coming to the end. Okay, so hello, Jeremy. Brook and Blue, I think it is, Brook and Blue. What about donating? Yeah, so we already talked about that. I like big books. Yeah, okay. Ryan, you got a Pro Box? A Pro Box? No, I don't have a Pro Box, dude. I don't have a Pro Box. So Dungeons and Chronics, Palladium Fantasy RPG. Again, AJ Pickett knows Palladium Fantasy RPG like the back of his hand. He doesn't know Fate. I know Fate. AJ knows Palladium. I don't want to go and buy their stuff and then have to learn that system. It's like I said, it's too difficult to do quickly. Okay, so it's not a solution. Hello, Milton. How's it? Milton Knowles, the Insane Witch King. Last time I got a book, shipping fees was $50 New Zealand. So $50 New Zealand. Now, so from wherever it was, $50 for a book that was probably about $50 or $60. Honestly, that's what he's probably paying. So if Milton's having to pay a shipping cost of about $50, trust me, that's a lot of money for just shipping a book. Pale Rider, it would be cheaper to buy a plane ticket and bring Fred a suitcase full of books. Probably. You may well find that that's in fact the case. Okay. Okay, so here, what specifically in the playtest UA turned you off? I was turned off by the increased complexity. I could see it was doubling down on crunch, and this is why I don't like the One D&D. I don't like the Unearthed Arcana. Because I know there needs to be the option for people to play that kind of crunchy game, but I don't want it hard baked into the standard game. And that's what's happening. I don't like the idea of combat feats or feats that make you a superhero in your background. As part of your background, you're literally a superhero already. Like the background is like what you did before you became an adventurer or a superhero, frankly. But that's not what it is. I know a lot of people didn't like the background feature because they didn't know how to navigate with it. But that's really an instructional issue, and maybe a bit of rewording to make it work. For my group, we love them. We've used them. We've actually used them, and it's worked. You just need to have a dungeon master who's on board. Now, a lot of players will probably find they don't have dungeon masters on board. That was one aspect. I love the idea that a D20 would give you automatic success. Okay, for an ability check, a skill check, an attack roll. Made perfect sense. Why the heck is it for an attack roll and not everything else? And yet it seems like that's off the cards because people didn't like it. It's like, oh, now you can do impossible things. Well, no, you just you shouldn't be rolling the dice if you have to try and do if you're trying to do an impossible thing. Rolling a 20, if you're rolling the dice and you can't succeed on a 20, there's something wrong with your rolling the 20. And then rolling a 1 and it's automatic failure, I thought was brilliant. It's nice, it's simple, it's easy for somebody to understand for an ability check, a skill check, an attack roll. I like that, and that went gone. People in the community didn't like it. They didn't understand it. And I know why. Because they don't understand when you should be rolling the dice and when you shouldn't. And if it's impossible for you to actually fail, why are you rolling the dice in the first place? If your modifiers and your skills and this are so good, why did the Dungeon Master even ask for the roll? Why did he even roll the dice? It doesn't make sense. So that's why I don't like the playtest UA. Now, there's going to be plenty of people out there who will be happy with it, but again, it doesn't do what I want, which is get more people playing the game, not just satisfy those people currently playing the game. Do you know what I mean? Let's all go to New Zealand together and show up at Fred's house with loads of third-party D&D books. Oh, you mean RPG books, maybe D&D books as well. So, for those of you who think I'll never talk about Dungeons and Dragons, that's not true. But they'll probably be third-party rather than Wizards of the Coast. In fact, that's really all I'm reading right now. I've got 2 other books that are for Wizards of the Coast. I'm not reading them. They are dust collectors now. Big kid. D&D Beyond is so easy to onboard new players. I understand. So we need to solve that problem. We need to find a way for people to get on board without needing D&D Beyond. There's a way. All my players use it on their phone and physically rolling dice. I get it. But again, I think it's really expensive. I think it's too much money. Anyway. So AJ has told me that Palladium has its problems, but it's the game that he loves too. I'm not going to get into systems and which is better and worse. I don't care about that sort of stuff. The book actually cost $13 and shipping was $50. So that would have been a small book from the US. Okay, so you imagine a larger book that isn't a very small book like $13 book, and your shipping cost is going to be quite a lot more than $50. Anyway, picked up these old school essentials. So I've downloaded old school essentials. So you will see old school essentials in the future. The way the game should be played, Jeremy. Okay. Well, it's a way you can play the game. I completely agree with you about the D20 test auto success and fails. I don't think the rule is automatically gone though. But the problem is it's not going to work for me. I can already see the murmurings that the way they're shifting the game. It's lost for me. I don't want to be a part of it. Fred Fest 2023. We all travel to New Zealand. Off topic. My mum just came back from New Zealand. She has a new great grandchild there. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so let's talk about. I threw a spanner into the community. I have been aware that the community has been turning kind of caustic and nasty, and there's a couple of reasons why I believe that is so. So I did an experiment. I haven't told anybody this, people. I'm just telling you now. God knows how people are going to respond. Particularly those people who are part of the Game Master Roundtable. Anyway, so that 3D virtual tabletop that's being developed, I was never worried about that. I never cared because there are virtual tabletops. But cornering a market so you can only run the biggest game on your virtual tabletop, which is what was kind of looking like it was going to happen, which was probably not going to work. But I mean, there's ways that's what they wanted, and they still want that, frankly. Certainly for the new version of the game coming out, and then the topic of artificial intelligence dungeon masters cropped up, and I did a lot of I picked up a lot of little clues and I put it together and I came up with a conspiracy theory. What would make people shift to a 3D virtual tabletop is if there was an artificial intelligence game master or dungeon master that actually worked well. And I put that out into the private Discord server for the Game Master Roundtable. A lot of YouTubers that do Dungeons and Dragons and RPGs. And I said, I think this is what might be happening. And I left it there, but I said I would prefer that people not talk about it or discuss it or do any videos. What do you know? A couple of days later, this thing comes out. Like, that was speculation on my part. Somebody had managed to find a tweet from somebody, I don't even know if they can be trusted, that said this is actually happening and it's going to be $30 paid per month for the top tier subscription or something like that with an artificial intelligence GM, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Look, Wizards of the Coast would be stupid if they weren't trying to do this right now, because there's people doing it right now and they don't even make money off it. That's for free. So I get it. I get you. I get that you want to do that. I know that you want to monetize the other 80% who don't pay money and can't find games by having an artificial intelligence game master or dungeon master on your 3D virtual tabletop. I get that, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. It's a smart idea, but core blimey. So that gave me a good idea of how many big holes there were in the community, particularly the community I had tried to build that was actually like worth supporting. So I feel like there are holes in the Game Master Roundtable. People who are probably I will not agree with. Okay, so I set a trap, and much to my surprise, apparently it may be true, it may not. Who knows? It sounds like it may well be going forward. Am I worried too much about that? $30 is about what you would pay if you were playing a online MMO for a month, right? Maybe even more, $45, $30, $45. So I mean, it kind of makes sense, particularly if you can't find somebody to play with. But yeah, so if you're wondering where that came from, that may well have come from my little trap. Anyway, I'm going to talk about moving forward. What I'm going to do moving forward with HowtoRPG. I'm not changing my name back to HowtoDandD. HowtoDandD is dead and gone. I am now HowtoRPG, which means how to role-play game or role-play games. Okay? It's not how to operate a rocket-propelled grenade. I have no understanding of weapons of war. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a look at the chat and then we'll talk about what I'm doing for the future. So, yeah, well, I don't know if it's real, but I mean, it's another way of playing. There are systems which don't require complex character sheets, hence no need for something like D&D Beyond. Yes, there are genres. Yeah, they've got storytelling possibilities. They've got crunchy mechanics as well, if you want that. Look, there's lots of different games. I get it. Okay, Pale Rider. You started with the old box, the red box set. Okay, good memories. So Wally DM has played Beckme, old school, the old version of Dungeons and Dragons. So he and like there's actually not that many in our group that have, but he has, which means he may be able to teach me how to play that game. I'm quite interested in that possibility. We'll see how we go. Old school. So Jeremy, old school is just the basics. Everything else the players make up in their imagination. Exactly. I feel like the codification of the game is killing players and dungeon masters' imagination. I feel like it's now become the enemy. So Orion, I'm sure it can get boring, but there'll be some people who will do it because they've got nothing else. If you've got nothing else, you'll do it. So I'll put up my Discord a little bit later, and I've been asking people to throw me links to artificial intelligence dungeon masters and game masters, blah, so that I can sort of look at them. I'll probably feature some of them, and also I'll probably take the piss out of them too. Yeah, the most fun I've had playing D&D was with the old school basics. All right, okay. So you guys are just talking about old school basics. You'll watch the rest of the catch up, but I urge everyone. Okay, so let's get on to what Fred is doing for the future. Yeah, you have. So Milton, you've subscribed to the wrong channel if you're looking for rocket propelled grenade launchers. Okay, not the right channel. Okay, so to give you an understanding, my sense of humor is a bit hard for some of the community to deal with at times. They always get a little bit worried when I start talking. Okay, and possibly why some people didn't want to come back to the Dungeon Master Roundtable or Game Master Roundtable. But also too, when I get angry, I tend to get very calm, and I don't look angry, but I'm actually, if you haven't figured it out, I can be very naughty. Okay, and when I get angry, I start doing things that are potentially very, very foolish, but also I just don't like it when bullies do stuff. I don't like bullies, and I feel like this is what's happening to us. So this is what I'm doing. Here we go. So I'm almost finished, Chris, so make sure you have your live stream up and ready to fire up very shortly, okay, baby? Okay, so moving forward, the Game Master Roundtable. I almost gave up on the Dungeon Master Roundtable. There were people who were giving me such a hard time about it, people who were quite unfair and sort of their criticism, and it was so much stress, and it was so hard to get people part of this in the first place. I've sent out hundreds of emails and talked to people for hours and hours trying to organize this stuff. And I was ready to just fold it all up. And I took a break. I had to take a break from the community of D&D and RPG because some of them are great and easy to work with, and some of them are not that easy to work with, okay? And there are a few things that have happened that seriously affected me. And now I understand, when I was talking to Cody from Taking 20, that trying to get people in the RPG YouTube community and the D&D community together without them burning each other is actually really hard to do. And this is why when I talked to Cody about joining up, he said, one, why would I? And I've already done that and it did not work for me. And so for me, I am probably not going to be bringing on a lot of new people into the Game Master Roundtable for a long time. I'm going to watch channels and see what they do. And so will Wally DM. And we'll decide once we think they've done their dues. Okay? Because there's a lot of people who did say yes, they were interested, and a lot of people who I feel had used it for the wrong purposes. And so you will see the people that I think are, like as I said before, nice people, honest, worth actually hanging around, and a team players can actually be part of this. Okay? There's no ulterior motives. As I said, the HowtoRPG, the name states. I'm not changing it back to HowtoDandD. I am going to, because I am so angry, I have been encouraging people to reverse engineer or make another tabletop RPG. I have put out the call and I said to people, make a new tabletop RPG and make it as similar to Dungeons & Dragons 5e as you possibly can. Why? Because revenge. Honestly, if I had to be honest about it, it's revenge. So I have already talked about the fact that I think there should be 3 engines for Dungeons & Dragons. A very basic rule system, a standard game, and then the advanced game, which you just modify, okay, to your heart's content. So I'm going to reverse engineer Dungeons & Dragons and make a clone that should be compatible with 5e, potentially 4e, 3.5, maybe even Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and Basic. And probably Pathfinder to a certain degree as well. Yeah, now I've got to do that without using the open game license, and I've got to do that without breaking copyright. But as Chris has already pointed out, it can be done. He's already doing it on his channel. So that's Deus Ex Machina has already been doing that. And I'm going to do that. There are a lot of other people who will start doing that as well. There are a lot of people making RPG systems. So I think I'm going to make a rule system that is free for you to use, that you won't have any problems with, and you can tack on whatever you like to it. I'm just going to make it. I said I was going to do it in 2024. I'm not waiting. I'm not going to be talking about One D&D. I'm going to make the reverse engineered retro clone that they don't want people making, and I'll make it for free. I don't know if people will actually if that'll have any traction. But what I'm going to do once I'm finished making it is I'm then going to give it to every single creator that I know, and I know a few, I'm going to say, make it available on your Patreon for free. I would like you to, I'm giving this to you, you can put it out and they can just download it for free. That's my headspace right now, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. Now, whether that gets me into trouble or not, who knows? Who knows? But I've got no money for them to take, frankly. Do you know what I mean? What money do I have to take? I just put a whole lot of money down on my mortgage. I suppose I could lose my house. But frankly, I'd prefer to go to prison than to pay them anything if I ever had to go to court. Okay? Next, returning to my roots and my beginning. So returning to my roots and my beginning is actually really important. So Orion, I see that you've said you'd like to join the round table. As I said, challenge accepted. Prove to me that it's a good idea. Prove to me, okay? I see so many channels who came up through at the beginning of the pandemic, and they're trying to fight their way through competition. Do something that the community really needs. That would be what I would say to you. I've never been worried about the size of a channel. It's nice when the big channels come on board, okay? But the size of the channel has never really been a huge factor for me. It's really what you've been doing. Next, what else am I doing? So we're going to spend a lot of time in live streams building an RPG, and I will build the basic game, then I will build the standard game, and then I will build the advanced game. So for those of you who wanted crunchy, complex stuff, you're going to get that. And for those of you who need to try and play a game with your 5-year-olds, don't worry, you're going to get that as well. We'll start with that one first. Next, returning to my roots. So I started with Fighting Fantasy, Ian Livingston and Steve Jackson, sort of pick your path adventure books. It's one of the things I had so much... I love those books. I regret that I did not take those books with me because they're gone now. And I can't get them anymore. They're impossible to find. Even if you can find them, they're overpriced. They're so expensive. Sorry, I got gas. And the other thing is, I played with my family HeroQuest. Now, I know that Hasbro currently owns HeroQuest, okay? But I had to go back to the roots for me. And for me, the family time I spent with my brothers and sisters playing HeroQuest together, which is, a pale version of Dungeons and Dragons or role-play games. Let's get real. It's just a board game. But I bought it. And I'll probably show it to you. And I'm not suggesting you go and buy it. But I know that a lot of you are looking on my channel for HeroQuest. And it's taking me back to the beginning. I got to find a bit more love for what's going on. So that's why I bought it. And my brother spotted it, David, yesterday, and he was quite excited. And so I suspect we will wind up playing that game because it's easy to play. It's easy. You explore, you kill monsters, you complete the objective, and you collect treasure. I mean, that's all it is. There's not really much else to it, right? Okay. All right. So you're probably going to see HeroQuest. But also too, I did a lot of homebrew. Before any of that ever happened, I used to always be trying to make stuff. And I haven't really been doing that. I've been talking about other people's stuff. So I thought, since I can't find Fighting Fantasy books and HeroQuest, I've got it and I'm ready for that. I am going to simply focus and double down on this channel showing you how to make your own stuff. I don't care what game system you play. I don't care if you play Dungeons and Dragons, whatever version you play. I don't care if you play Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, science fiction stuff. I don't care any of that. I am going to simply build a program around you making your own stuff. So you don't have to buy anybody's stuff. You don't have to buy anybody's stuff. You certainly won't need to buy Wizards of the Coast material because I'll show you how to make your own stuff. I can do this. If I can show people how to contend with the vast array of mechanics that exist in 5e, I can do this. Okay, I've already started that process. So, Lost Mine of Fandalve Dungeon Master Tutorial. I've already told my patrons this. It's now getting called Running Adventures. are Running Adventures GM or Game Master Tutorial. So Running Adventures Game Master Tutorial. Doesn't matter what adventure you're running. It's going to be built to be able to help you run adventures. That's it. Like that, it just covers all of them. Not one. I'm not going to cover like a specific adventure. It's just giving you all the tools you need to be able to do anything. Anything. Because then, one, a bit more evergreen. Two, it actually captures a bigger portion of you who might be playing a different rule system. So that's going to happen. Currently it has 8 sessions, and I'm going to rebuild, by the way, I'm going to rebuild a lot of this, but you'll see, I'll talk about that a bit more. I've currently got a Dungeon Master preparation class that I run. It's now being called the Game Master Preparation. Okay? Game Master Preparation, not Dungeon Master, Game Master Preparation. So I'm going to, of course, take everything that's even related to Wizards of the Coast property out. All of this, I'm removing all their stuff. Their images, their anything to do with them, I'm taking it all out. Agile Monk, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Yes, you can, Fred. And you have folks around you that will support you, sir, and the community. So for those of you who don't know, have never been part of my live streams, a lot of the stuff that we make in those programs that I built is actually built by the community, not by me. All I'm doing is typing it down. All I'm doing is typing it down quite often. I'm not suggesting the rules, the core rules that I plan to reverse engineer are going to be like that, but I'm certainly going to let people weigh in on it. But I have a particular goal and a particular focus, and I'm aiming for that. I've told you what it is. 3 system. A 3 progressive system. That's what my head is at. That's where my head has always been. Okay. So I know that Agile Monk and a variety of people, particularly the patrons, will throw their hat in and they'll make it work. It'll get done. Anyway, next. So, Game Master Preparation. I'm going to probably add 2 more sessions to the 8-session program, and they're probably going to be covering building classes. And when I say building classes, I mean for any system, and building species or races. So that's probably the only holes that I have. So I'm going to build that as well. Yeah. For those of you who really enjoyed the D&D Monster Lore and Workshop, it's just getting renamed Monster Lore Workshop. And I'm probably going to be talking far less about D&D IP Wizards of the Coast. I'm not operating under I'm not going to operate under their fan-based content policy. I'm not going to operate under any OGL they have. I'm not using any of that stuff. It's all gone, people. So there are plenty of monsters out there that do not have an IP attached to them. Plenty of them. And we can make our own. Okay? We will just make our own. And I'll show you how to do that. We'll do that together. Okay? Also, the D&D 5e character creation that we were doing. Like we would build a character for 5e. Well, now it's just called character creation for RPGs. So we will just, we might build a Jedi for Star Wars. We might build an explorer, space explorer for Bulldog's Fate. Who knows what we'll build? But we're going to build characters for any system. Does that mean I'll never do 5e? Well, not necessarily, but probably not anytime soon if I can help it. The D&D 5e core rules tutorials that I was doing, or demonstrations and explanation, they're now just going to be called RPG or role-playing game core rules. So a lot of the rules cannot be copyright. They can't be owned. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take out all the verbiage that might get me into trouble, and I'm just going to rebuild the program for that. And then you'll find that at the end of that presentation, I will open you up to the idea of using different rules in different ways. I will explain stuff. I will present stuff you may not or may have seen in the past. We'll see. That's where we're going. So those programs, those 5 programs, are not going anywhere. They're just changing. Right, so there's a problem with doing this, and that those 5 programs that I run and continue to want to run, they took me almost a year to build. And I did that off screen. I can't do that. I can't do that. That's too long. I'm going to rebuild them with the community. I'm going to rebuild them with my patrons. I'm going to do them live. So you're probably going to see me chucking stuff out and putting stuff in. And I'll rebuild all the slides. I'll rebuild all of the notes for Patreon. I'll rebuild all of my lesson notes as well, specifically for that. Do you know what I mean? Hello, Rubik. How are you? Have I missed somebody in the chat? Turbo Wolf. Hello. How are you doing? And we've got Dustin Beck. Hello, Dustin Beck. Oh, Fred Daniels here. I didn't realize you were here. Okay, nice. Okay, so that's where my head is at with that. I have to do it. I have to do it online. I can't do it in the background. It'll take too long. And I work myself to death doing that. It can't be done that way. So I guess you get to hang out with me while I do that. We'll see how well that works for people. I don't know. But you'll certainly see what goes on behind the scene. I'll tell you that now. Yes, I'm opening up behind the scene, if you hadn't figured it out. Next, I'm going to talk and review Star Wars Saga RPG because Wizards of the Coast doesn't get any more money from it. They don't own the license. They can't print those books. That's gone. The only way to get it is either to find a PDF or maybe find a copy if you're lucky on the internet and buy the physical copy, which is going to be really expensive. So you're probably just going to get the PDF. Yep. I have all the books, so I'm going to cover them. I know that system. I can show you how to play the game. I've got miniatures and dice galore. They use the same dice you're used to using for D&D. I have miniatures, I have maps, I have all that stuff for running Star Wars because I ran it for years. Okay, I'm going to do Bulldog's Fate. If I can finally find some Fate dice, I will show you how to play Fate, and I'll show you how to play Bulldogs because I had a lot of fun with Bulldogs. It's a different game, but it's still fun. And where's my head really at is system agnostic. It's harder to do system agnostic than to double down on a particular game system. It's really, really hard, much harder to do. That's really where my head is at. System agnostic. What can I make that you can pluck and put into any game system you are playing? That's what the future holds for me, as far as I'm concerned. It's much harder to do, but that's where a lot of my friends are heading anyway. We've already talked about system agnostic. We need to take out the verbiage and anything that's even related to somebody else's IP. We can't trust any kind of open game license. Even Pathfinder's ORC is ORC that they're building. I don't care for it. I'm not going to do anything that's even connected to that. It's never going to happen for me, okay? I have Kamal. Hello, how are you, by the way? I'm going to focus on showing you how to, as I said, home brew your own stuff. That is what I want to do. Frankly, I don't see any other way to make this work for me. So you're all going to wind up becoming home brewers. And if you can't home brew, you'll just sign up to my Patreon and download whatever has been made during the week. That's really as simple as that. That's what a lot of people do. But of course, as I said, whatever you download is probably going to be system agnostic. So it should be easy to port into whatever you're doing. How easy is that to do? Not necessarily as easy as you might think, but we'll see how we go. I think it can be done. Okay, so that is what's moving forward. Let me answer let me see. Look, if you have any questions, ask them now, because I'm about to go to the beach. Okay, so let's go down here. So Chris, what do you got here? Deus Ex Machina. Imagination cannot be stifled by rules. Exactly. Only people can do that by claiming imagination is being stifled by rules. Exactly. So, yeah, we're all for. If you're up for that journey, people, we are going down that journey big time. Okay. You will see Dungeon Master. You should see Game Master Roundtable videos showing up on my channel a lot more too. By the way. So do you put out a trap and found out someone is trying to stir up drama? I did, Gabriel. I did. So Nicola, this is exactly, I knew there was somebody who was going to do that. So hence I put out the trap. Little old me. Okay. Looking to see if they could get some spicy info type of stuff. Yes, because of course, if you can drive the engine and create drama, that's always a good thing, correct? Because it makes you more money, AdSense revenue, more subscribers, more interested in what you're doing on your channel. Yes, I laid a trap. Revenge of the Nerds. Can I state exactly what the DM's Guild is? I won't touch the DM's Guild in the slightest. The DM's Guild or Dungeon Master Guild is basically where you can publish your stuff, your 5e stuff, but Wizards of the Coast does not want you to keep playing 5e. They want you to go to the new system, okay? Wizards of the Coast is doing everything they can to make sure you do not use 5e. They want you to go to the new system. And it's where you can publish your 5e stuff, but I would imagine that the DM's Guild will get shut down and ported over to D&D Beyond, and it will be completely in-house at that point. Yes, Gabriel, good luck to me. Fred's Fantasy RPG, I love it. So I know a lot of people think it's going to take a long time to do that. No, you know me. We can build a world in an hour and a half. I can build a game system in probably about a day or two. Okay, at least the basic one, and then it'll be available. And you can go and check it out and play test it to your heart's content and tell me where the problems are. Jeremy. What if it's not compatible with Hello Kitty Island Adventure? I probably won't like it, but I will try. Jeremy, as I said, I will probably make stuff that is compatible with anything. Okay. This is the problem when somebody makes Fred angry. He starts doing... he starts doing stuff. Anyway, I don't know how much of an impact it will have on that wider community, frankly, because 30,000 subscribers hasn't really meant very much at all. Okay, Dustin Beck, how can we help? Okay, Dustin Beck, this is how you can help. You're an artist and I'm willing to volunteer some of my time for the cause. So Dustin Beck, I appreciate that. So I've already talked to Rooker Zero. So Rooker Zero has a YouTube channel and he does fan art and he does commissions, and he said, look, you can use my art in your thumbnails and as part of, say, a meme if I wanted to. I'll probably use it for thumbnails because the memes, it all has to be in 4K for it to work, the artwork, and his stuff doesn't go that high. So he's given me permission, and I just need to make sure I credit him as his artwork being used, and put a link to his YouTube channel. So Dustin Beck, if that's all you asking, because I can't pay for art, then that's great. I will put my Discord down, and you can hit me up there. I'll have an email, but I would go with the Discord. I would go with the Discord just in case you get chucked into my spam email, or I wind up just ignoring the email because I think somebody's trying to get me to sponsor their stuff again. Okay. I've talked to my brother, and artificial intelligence artwork is probably one of the things I will use, and he's going to have to download some software onto my rather powerful computer that should be able to create what I want. But then I have to teach it how to do art, and that's another thing, because it's not like it's going to be pulling from other artists. I actually have to teach it how to make art. That's a difficult process. It's going to take a little bit of time. I don't know how fast that's going to happen. Okay. Never put me on the round table. I'd get you into trouble. You probably would. I get myself into trouble sometimes. Keep on keeping on, Fred. Take care. Thank you. You're welcome, Turbo Wolf. Okay. What else here? Yeah, and look, Hero Quest, as you get older, it's probably not enough, right? Yeah, Hasbro does own like so many games. There's really there's so many that they own. Yes, GM and RPGs is all we really need to use. I think that's exactly right. Yes, look, I can say that my Patreon is very much a family. They know each other quite well now. A lot of them know each other very, very well. And because I live stream so much and a part of those, like it's like hanging out with mates. Jeremy, the books I got from Kobold Press and Frog God Games could last 10 years. Yeah, I believe you. I've got enough books to last me a lifetime. Yes, I already talked about that. The Descent Game Boy. Okay, so Rubik, you like the Descent board game? I don't want to buy any more board games. Homebrew. We're homebrewing. There's a few modules I like. The old Isle of Dread, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Curse of Strahd. You mean Ravenloft. And then the Temple of Elemental Evil. Oh, that's a... Temple of Elemental Evil is a nightmare. Yeah. The problem with Steve. Funny. Dave, I have to run and look forward to rewatching. Okay, I think we already said that. It's your wife's birthday. I didn't realize. Like, so if you're rewatching this, happy birthday to your wife, by the way. You're gonna run the honey heist tonight. Oh, good. All right. Okay. I think I covered that. Okay. You're baffled by the hat. It's too hot, and I'm throwing down the gauntlet. And I'm serious. That's why. Yeah, so Deus Ex Machina. So Chris is working with new creators to develop an entirely original rule system for a new original setting. So we are diversifying. There's a lot of people doing this. System agnostic all the way. Glad you like the idea. You can't wait to visit New Zealand and share a drink. Well, we'll see. I can't drink alcohol anymore. Yeah, no to drama. Can you build a good game system in a day and a half? That's a real question. Gabriel, people, look, we built the structure to an adventure in an hour and a half, and an hour and a half. We built the structure to a world, an RPG world, in about an hour and a half. I can do it in a day. I already know what I need to write. To a large extent, I already know what needs to be put down. Yeah, stop asking to sponsor me. Yeah, right. You would recommend Invoke AI? So Creatures and Chronicles. My brother's already using it to. I've seen his stuff coming out that he's been working on an adventure for me called Godfrey's Evil Hats. It's amazing, but it does require. He said better results to actually not use a server and to actually download software. And he's got one already set up, and he just has to come over and install everything, because it's not just one piece of software. There's a lot of other things going on. I used it for my game and it's wonderful. Okay, good to know. But yeah, my brother's already covered that. Sam, my brother is he knows a lot about that sort of thing. Remember, the best RPG games and rules are the ones you and your friends use and play and enjoy, and that's exactly where my head is at. No one can take that from you. So, hello, JP. I'm almost done, and I'm off to the beach after this. So, JP, Jean-Paul is actually one of the mates that I play a game with. So we play on a Saturday night. I am currently running an adventure for them, but probably only for maybe 1 or 2 more sessions, if that, and then it'll be back to what we were doing before, which is Pirates and Skull and Shackles. So hi Fred, what are you doing live streaming? Yes, I know, I should be, it's a fine day, I should be outside. Not in the sun, I've been on the roof, I've already had plenty of sun, thanks very much, but under a tree, reading a book, and sleeping. The weather is good, the sun is out, and you should be hitting the beach, dude. I know, that's exactly right. Don't get too sunburnt. Yeah. You have to DM tomorrow. Yeah, Game Master tomorrow. That's right, I do. Tomorrow is Saturday night, and I'll be Game Mastering. And frankly, I've ran most of that game that we are doing, Theatre of the Mind. And if I need to use anything else, I won't be using a virtual tabletop. I'm using miniatures and dice and maps, and I just have a different camera set up. That's what I do. So homebrew is the best one. So that's what you're getting. Homebrew is the way we're going, baby. Tea. You can drink tea. I can probably drink green tea, but I can't have milk or sugar. But I get what you're saying here. Hopefully your live stream is going to be up and running in a second, dude, because we're jumping over to you. I run my own evocation AI installed. I get it. Yeah. It took about 3 minutes to install. I'm at the beach. Yes, I will. So, if you have any more questions regarding to dramas and what's going on, now is the time before I close up and say goodbye and go and try to relax. 84 votes. Good Lord. I can't believe that so many people hung around for so long and that there was so many people in here who wanted to know what was going on. I guess it was the right idea to actually do this. I'm doing this only once, people. That's it after this. And then we're going to work. We are going to work. Oh my God. Every dog and horse and cow and is live streaming right now. Everybody under the sun. Who the heck is this? I don't even know what they're doing. Okay. What is he doing? Oh God, the new OGL is dropping. So Crow's Perch, Jacob is doing it. And then there's Indostructo Boy. And maybe I should send you over to Indostructo Boy. If you're not going to be going over the OGL, I would send them to you. No, John Campier. No, we're not sending you to John Campier. No fun allowed. He's doing the open game license as well. I don't know about that. Key, Sensei, Suplex. No, not a chance. Zero Doxy. Not really what you guys would be hanging out for. So Chris, if you're still here, you'll let me know. Otherwise, I am going to do a little adjustment here. I'm going to pull up Indostructo Boy. Since he originally dropped everything, I will put the link into the chat right now. And that's going in there. And then I will make sure, I just need to do update and make sure it redirects to him. So hopefully I can actually change the redirect while it's live streaming. I don't know if it's possible, but we'll see how we go. Kind of difficult at times to figure out if that's plausible or not, but let me just see if I can find it. Can I go in here? Can I go there? I'm currently live. I want to go into edit. I want to customize. And will it let me take this out? Sorry if I look like I'm a little bit lost. I'm a lost little sheep. Okay. All right. So I think I'm ready to redirect. So what's this, Chris? Oh, I already did a couple of hours ago. My live stream is already up, and the company has already made an official post. Okay. So I'm going to send you to Indostructo Boy then. Okay. Since Chris, if you're finished, so just let me take this and send you here. If you want to keep going, if you want to go over all those changes that are going on, and you've got time and energy for it, then by all means you can go see what he's doing. I don't want to know about it at all. And save that. And that's done. Okay, so I think I'm almost ready to leave. Thank God for that. It's all going to be all right in the end. In the end, it will be all right. Okay. Okay. So I'm taking Deadpool. And that image of the baby was the one I wanted to work with. Maybe not as funny as you might think, but where my head is at currently, it is. So I want to thank all of my patrons who support me on Patreon. It's really going to be really important moving forward, because the channel, without the word D&D or Dungeons and Dragons in the titles or the channel, is probably going to die off quite a lot. It's probably going to suffer quite a lot. So thank you to my patrons who support me. It really makes a big difference. Thank you for everybody who showed up for the live stream. I know it's a long one. Thank you for watching my live streams, the replays, watching the edited videos, putting up with those shorts videos. I want to thank Chris for weighing in and being here today as well. And so wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. You decide what you want to do about Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, and Hasbro. That's not my business. It's up to you. I'm going to the beach. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.